Game Dev Log 2. This is for Forest Dwellers, February 7th, 2026. This is Enderman Dells. Alright, well, I had some recent revelations, so that's nice. I started making the game in Godot. It's very basic. But before doing this, I actually was working on... oh my goodness, hold on a second. There we are. I was working on fleshing out my ideas for the game. And as you can see, I wrote down a lot. So one of the things I wanted to do differently from how I was originally conceptualizing the game is I wanted to make this a roguelike that has, the possibility for broken mechanics or broken combinations. Kind of like with Inscryption and how you can put different sigils onto different units to get overpowered combinations. And so, with a little bit of encouragement from ChatGPT, I made this green fairy, which will allow the player to infuse an animal's special ability into another party member. Yes, even the player. And this can stack. It's risky because, the one receiving the ability may die in the process. But it's different from Inscryption's way of doing things by you're not actually sacrificing the animal that you draw power from, which is interesting. Maybe I'll sacrifice it later if playing it isn't as fun that way, but yeah, so now I have that where you can combine different animal abilities, and yeah, I started going through and adding more abilities to each of the different animals. We've got a wolf, which is basically able to intimidate and has high attack. The owl gains flying and can't be targeted while flying. Snakes, poison. Turtles, armor. Porcupine, quills. Vultures prey on weak targets. I also wanted to make it so that the animals had predefined target bias. So, for example, the vultures will attack animals that are at the lowest HP, and if there's a tie, it'll just choose a random one. And bears attack the highest attack target. So this allows the player to just have the player chooses who to attack on their turn. That makes the player unique from the animals. And so you kind of have to figure out which animals synergize well together. You'll need some to deal with high attack units, and then you'll need some to take out the ones that are left behind, etc., etc. So there's more options for the player to consider. Other options for the player to consider are which items to buy from the trader. We've got a number of them. Items allow gain different stats or status effects. They also it's mostly what they do actually. Some of them, like the leader's whistle, increase the odds of animals asking to join your party. They changed how the game works pretty significantly. So the way that animals join the player's party is when it gets lower on health, it's more likely to ask to join the player's group instead of attacking an animal. But it's not a super high probability. Yeah, I'm looking forward to working on this. I loved building up the start of turn effects and end of turn effects. Having all of these different effects is very cool because it shows me that you can have unique interactions with different animals and an abundance of item ideas when you have different status effects that you can apply, kind of like in He Is Coming. And you can have crazy combinations where I don't know. The combination part of it is kind of lost on me a little bit. But like, for example, the porcupine, on hurt, deal 1 damage to the attacker, trigger this animal's on-hit abilities. If you had an animal with an on-hit ability that's pretty strong, like the snake, you could be like, well, okay, say you put the snake's abilities onto the porcupine, then when the porcupine gets attacked, deals 1 damage to the attacker, trigger this animal's on-hit abilities. On hit, if their armor is 0, spend 1 mana point to give that target poison 1. Boom, combo. Very cool combo. And you have different items that also give you on hit, on hurt, buffs and such. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to developing this game more. I started putting down like a rough timeline as to what I wanted done in each of the months. However, I don't know if I'll be able to make them. This is kind of like a test ground to see if my prediction abilities are accurate. So anyway, that's the recap on what I've got done with my game today. Nothing too crazy on the Godot side because it's just getting the game started right now. But on the conceptual side, it's way more fleshed out, and I think it's at a good place for me to be able to create the whole game. So yeah, stay tuned for the next episode where hopefully we'll start getting into some actual combat. We'll see how that goes.